Hello world and welcome. I'm Don, and in this video I want to spend a few minutes just thinking about viewpoint technology selections versus AI selections, which seem to be all the rage just now. And from the perspective of all the rage, and I guess I should say that this video has come about based on me trying out a couple of different pieces of software that have AI selections and just my responses and thoughts to that and how that compares to viewpoint technology that has been in DxO for ages now. And I guess part of my thinking of doing this video also is based on, sometimes I've heard comments like, oh, I really think that DxO should be including some AI features. Where's the AI? They're getting left behind. This is new technology. It's got to be included, which, they're all opinions. Everybody's got opinions, and I'm just sharing my perspective. So I'm not meaning to take away from other people's opinions or experience, but just to share my experience with this, and I guess to give a bit of a rundown why I'm actually just super happy with the viewpoint at this point in time. So, and while I was thinking about this whole issue, I just wanted to bring this up briefly. I downloaded this from the web, but this is something called Gartner's Hype Cycle, and very much the whole AI explosion, the AI excitement makes me think of this. And it's just describing our path through these sorts of things, how something happens and we have these massive expectations about how it's going to be just wonderful, and then we actually start to use it and realize that it's actually not the savior of the universe, and then we kind of can dip down into this trough of disillusionment, and that this new piece of technology, whatever it is, that the reality of it will be somewhere in the middle, not nearly so high as the expectations, not nearly so low as we might go after disillusionment. So this is the image here. This has been edited in Photolab. And I've just got the images straight across here, and this is what it looked like out of camera. And this whole journey all started when I opened up On1 Photo Raw 2024 Max. I think I've included all the bits and pieces, and I used their new Brilliance AI, which is kind of a one-click solution. Comes back with a result, it's created masks for the hills, for the water, for the sky, etc., etc. And this is what it returned. And this was immediately, many of the selections are totally fine, but it's got one thing that stands out to me, and it might be standing out to you right now too, that is just indicative of my experience so far with lots of AI selections. And that is up here, that it's got this halo along this hill. It's selected through this hill just nicely. It's even around here. I can't notice any major thing, but up here to my eye, there is a bit of a halo that I don't enjoy. And yes, with the AI masks, my understanding is you can get in there and refine them. But if I'm using my viewpoint technology, I drop it on, and it also might need a little tweaking, but I can get in there and refine it. Also a very quick process. So I don't, on this type of selection, I don't see where I'm saving a whole lot of time or necessarily getting a whole lot more accuracy per se. So I'm kind of placing those two things side by side. But it's added some contrast here in all of these selections. I can't see any obvious signs of selections. So I moved from that, and I thought, okay, well, I wonder how the new AI selection possibilities in Capture One are going. So I ran that through. And this has got just a couple of, basically I clicked like an autocorrect button that does some toning and maybe saturation and some basic adjustments automatically. I turned off the white balance because it was giving me a funky white balance. And so just ever so slightly globally adjusted. And then I ran it through, and I created a mask for the sky. I created one for this hill. I created one for the water, for the sand, and for this hill here. And you can see the result, especially on the sky here, was much, much better. That's a perfectly lovely result through there, and I can't see any haloing around there, so that's great. But again, not perfect. I'll just very briefly bring up Capture One, and just show you. So I've got this already turned on. When you first turn on AI brush, it'll need to initialize, and that takes like maybe 3 seconds, 5 seconds, something like that. But then it loads up, and that's all good. But the thing that I noticed is I've got the sky selected here, in fact. But as I mouse over, you can see here that just like with viewpoint, where you click makes a difference. Yeah, so you do still need to just kind of hunt around and find a good spot for it again. Unless you're on the water, selects that water lickety-split. But the trouble is, I've got a new adjustment layer. There's nothing selected on this. If I wanted to do this hill, here's where I got into it. I couldn't select the whole hill very easily. So I selected that, and then I've got all these patches. And then I have to kind of go around and say, okay, I want to add that bit, and I want to add that bit, and I want to add that bit. So it's, again, not giving it a hard time. Sometimes you need to refine your selections, but is it really that much faster than using the viewpoint technology? Is it giving me that much better a result than using the viewpoint technology? That's all I'm doing. I'm not trying to say AI is good or bad or anything else. I'm not a technophobe. I am quite happy that we're sort of exploring some of the things that might be possible with AI. I don't feel like it's something that people who haven't put in the hard work to learn how to edit will suddenly be able to edit better, and that's not a good thing. I don't believe that. I think, let's open it up. Let's make it easier for everyone. So I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time here. I'm just saying not actually that different in the end, product that you can get, and in the effort that's, this wasn't a one-click. You can see there, we've got 4 different regions to get all these trees up there, for example. Not perfect. So that's all good. So if I come back here, just briefly, what did I actually do to this image? This is my NEF that's been edited. Basically, so a couple of, what did I do over here? I put on some smart lighting, and I upped my contrast, both micro and fine. And then I popped over here, possibly, did I do anything with color? Put it on vibrant. That's what I did. I knew I did something in here. So I just chose the vibrant rendering, which I gotta say, love these. Natural, vibrant, vivid, etc. Love them. And then I popped over here to my locals, and I just created one for if I turn that on, we'll see it. Created one for the sky, for the mountain, for the water, and this hill over here. And, if I look at those, the sky, but that mountain in the background is selected. Yes, and I did that on purpose. I could have omitted that mountain if I wanted to, but I did actually want a little bit of that adjustment seeping onto that mountain to help keep the whole thing a bit realistic and tie it all together. This mountain here, just did a couple of control points. Could have done a control line as well, but super quick. Water, couple of control points. There's a little in the center there. You can see how there's a little bit of like a space where the mask isn't quite as strong. But if you look at in practice, that doesn't show up, and it actually just gives it a little bit of depth and dimension, in my opinion. So I'm happy enough with that. And then the hills. We've got this greenery selected more, this greenery selected ever so slightly less. And I needed to tweak this one. If I look at that, I've added a negative control line on there, right there, to pull it away from this hill. And I've added a few negative control points down here to take care of the spill on the beach. But again, all of this was super, super fast. So again, I make the argument, not actually a massive difference. And personally, I'm totally happy that DxO has chosen not to include AI selection or masking at this point, because I feel like it would have just added complication, not necessarily made that much of a practical difference. And I say at this point, I will definitely add the caveat that things are going to develop over the next few years, and in a few years' time, will it be, will the AI selections be so good that I'm changing my tune? Yeah, it could easily possibly be. But right now, at this juncture, I don't feel like I'm missing out by not having AI features in Photolab. So, again, just an opinion piece. Do I admit that sometimes AI might do a better selection? Absolutely. Do I admit that sometimes viewpoint might do a better selection? Absolutely. Not necessarily trying to say one's better than the other. So I'm keen. I know that this is a very train of thought sort of video. I don't want it to go too long, so I'm actually going to wrap that up. Hopefully it's some food for thought, If you've been feeling like you've been missing out by not having AI features in Photolab, maybe I've changed your mind about that too. Maybe not. Everybody's got different thoughts on these sorts of things. But with that, I'll say thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.